Our first thing on the agenda we need to do is to approve the meeting agenda. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the meeting agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Now we are going to be having presentations, and the first item on our agenda will be board comments, board member comments. So do we have members of the board that would like to comment on activities and so forth?
One thing, it's a little bit delayed, but in December, and I guess it's been ongoing at Oliver, they've been doing student showcases where each grade gets to have a little special time and do something that's a little outside the normal prescribed curriculum. And I just wanted to say how many parents have reached out to me and said how lovely it was. It tested, their skills and showcased different skills that the students may not do every day. But, one student she said it's hard for my little girl to work as a teammate. And she had to learn to be patient and work as a teammate. So I just wanted to highlight some of those things. And in my own house, we got to be a Rubik's Cube master, and all sorts of interesting things are going on at our elementary school. So.
That's great. Anybody else?
Yes, I have quite a bit, if you'll bear with me. It's my first meeting, and I'm certainly happy to be here. And I once again have to thank those folks out in the community that voted for me. I haven't been here in 11 years, but I was on the board for 13 years, a long time ago. So I'm glad to be back. I have several things to share. Recently, a week and a half ago, our Representative Elliott from the legislation and Senator Gerber were here, and they gave an excellent presentation of what's happening, and they also touched on what's happening with bills that are for education. So very briefly, I'm going to walk you through them. Senate Bill 3. Site-based councils, they're looking at equalizing teachers and parents on the council. Superintendent selects principals as a possibility, will change that possibility to change. House Bill 22, boards would fill their own vacancy if someone had to leave the board. And after 60 days, if they didn't do it, then the State Department would do it for them. And that would be a change, because prior to that, the state board made all decisions and made all changes. The next one of our own, Daniel Elliott, it's House Bill 95. He's moving school board pay up a little bit, which was quite a nice surprise. It's not much, but I think it's a little thank you for the people that serve. Senate Bill 15, reduce the number of background checks for folks that work in the schoolhouse but are not or do not work closely with children. Okay? And the last one is the big one. The reason they call it Senate Bill 1 is because it's the most important one, school safety. And they have a detailed plan to look at schools, SROs, and other things regarding safety. I wanted to go back again. This is my first time, and I know the other board members are going to say, oh golly, we don't want to hear you all the time. Maybe just this one time I'm going to talk a little bit. I appreciated Daniel Elliott coming to the board and gave an oath of office to us. I take the oaths very, very seriously. First, we had a constitutional oath. I will faithfully execute to the best of my ability the office of the Danville Board of Education. I thought that being here in a formal setting, having an oath was really dramatic for me. I take that very seriously. The second oath was the Danville Board of Education oath. I will not directly or indirectly have a claim against the board. Will not in any way influence hiring and appointments of district employees except the superintendent. And again, that's the second oath we had. I appreciated our superintendent took the time and made us pretty little picture frames, and we got to put the oaths in there and took them on home. We appreciated that. This is my 5th time in office for Danville, and I appreciate the manner by Elliott came for that evening, and I thought that, golly, the 5th time to serve this community, I consider it an absolute honor. I do have had quite a few questions, and I wanted to answer it right now. People are asking, why did I volunteer to develop 3 board policies that were somewhat challenging, somewhat conduct rules for board members, okay? One of my reasons was that I've been gone so long, I need to learn. 10 years, a lot of things can happen. So I want to know what are the rules now compared to the past so that I can do it properly. The other reason I did that, if you perceive a problem, you have to offer a solution or you become part of the problem. So that's very important to me. The Board of Education will move forward on these extremely important policies. Next, there's a gentleman in our community, some of you might know him, named Milt Riggleman. How many people here know Milt Riggleman? He is a fine retired gentleman from Center College. And I met him over at the newspaper office when they had their open house last week. And he told me, he said, "Smiley, I got something I want to tell you, and I want you to announce it at your board meeting." So this is from Dr. Milt Riggleman, a retired professor from Center. He said, "It was an excellent job buying that facility on Lexington Avenue. It once was under the leadership of Center College. It will be a great asset for Danville schools." And Milt's not here, but thanks, Milt. We appreciate that. Okay. Also, I thought that our chair, Steve Becker, and our superintendent, Tammy McDonald, did an excellent job planning and giving the information about the sales of that property and why it's valuable for Danville schools. And Ben, that was an outstanding, positive paper. The community read that and they clearly understood what we were trying to do for our students. Thank you. Okay, I'm almost done. I know it. I'm almost done. I'd like to thank many thanks to the central office staff on behalf of Glenn and I. The central office staff, I've been away for so long and Glenn is brand new. They took a whole day of their time and did a workshop for us to help us get acclimated to this school system. Dr. McDonald, she explained the district administration, academic achievement, how to raise test scores. Brian Gover did emails and devices, and he had to meet with me several times because some of that stuff's not real easy for me. Teresa Osborne, absolute wonder, the work that she does on personnel issues. Christy Denny, she explained the construction updates. Paul Dean, where's Paul at? Paul, absolute passion for numbers and understanding budgets and finances. He did a good job explaining it to us. I don't know if many of you can remember it, and you don't have to put your hands up or anything. An old movie called Shipwrecked with Tom Hanks. Did anybody see that movie? Ever see that movie? Well, anyways, this guy was on a ship and it wrecked. He got stuck on an island for 10 years. And when he finally was found and they took him back, the gal he was going to marry had married somebody else and had 3 children. Where he lived, the house had changed. Everything had changed, and he had a hard time assimilating into this world had changed. Likely for Mr. Paul Smiley. I've been gone for 10 years, so bear with me. It's going to take me a little time to get back in the groove, but with the help of the former board members, I believe I'll make it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Smiley. Mine's going to be really short. Glenn and I, Mr. Ball and I both attended Strengthening Families. It's a wonderful program presented by Anna Houston over at Hogsett. It is really something that proves to me that relationships matter. And it's just not relationships with your family. We have to have relationships in our school. Teachers, students, staff, parents, and we need to really work on that, and that's one of my goals, that when we start next school year, we're going to have a program that's going to deal with relationship building, because it will do nothing but help. all of us. The second thing that was really a wonderful thing that I attended two of these was the All-Pro Dads program. Outstanding. You should have seen the kids coming in. They were so delighted that their fathers were bringing them to school and having breakfast with them. And then there's always some sort of a program of, again, relationship building. So we're extremely lucky to have the school district we have. And I hope that that filters out to everyone, and we're going to make a big effort to make sure it does. So does anybody else have any comments?
Hi, y'all.
Sorry.
So for superintendent comments, I have a couple of things, so I will try to make it brief. But first, I do want to introduce somebody that's in the audience, and that's Dr. Fred Carter in the back. If you could step up front for a second, Dr. Carter. Dr. Carter is my leadership coach through KASA. And if you've been to prior board meetings, you may have heard me mention that I am attending new superintendent training on a monthly basis, and KASA is providing a great deal of training and support through that program, and it's been very beneficial. And so Dr. Carter is here today at the board meeting, so I just wanted to introduce him and say thank you, and thank you to KASA for all the support you've given me as a new superintendent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to report your new superintendent's doing a great job. She represents Danville Independent well. I'm a retired superintendent from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and you guys have an excellent reputation across the state. You really do. I will visit this district 4 times throughout the year, and in addition, Dr. McDonald and I will be in training about 17 days scattered out through the course of the year. So if she's missing this year, chances are she's with me. If she's missing 17 days next year, you need to look for her.
Don't go to Vegas.
So kind of on that same note, each month I do give each board member an update on the leadership performance standards. There are 7 standards. It is uploaded into e-meeting, as you can see. And underneath each of the standards, again, I try to just have some bullets of what's going on in each of those areas within our district, and some different strategies that I've been working on. I'm not going to, of course, read through all of them, but there's one that individuals in the community and board members may not be aware, so I'm going to touch on that one. If you'll remember in the professional growth plan that I submitted to the board in September, one of the areas that I personally wanted to work on to move our district forward was recruitment of teachers, specifically minority teachers and teachers of hard-to-staff areas, math, science, and world language. And so just wanted to let you know that in working on that goal to increase our applicant pool so that we just have a larger pool of applicants for our principals to choose from as they hire teachers, I'm having one-on-one meetings with universities. And so I have already at this point met with EKU, University of Louisville, and Asbury. I also have a meeting set up with Kentucky State, and I'm working on setting up meetings with several other of the university and colleges in our area. And through those meetings, it's conversations about what can we do at Danville to partner with those universities to place student teachers in our district, for us to go to job fairs and recruit teachers from those universities. And so that's just one piece that's listed in that update as some ongoing work to help us recruit not only minority teachers, but also teachers of math, science, and world language. You may have heard me mention the last time we had a math posting, we had 0 applicants, and the last time we had a science posting, we had 0 applicants. That is not just a struggle for Danville, but math, science, and world language is a struggle for districts across not only Kentucky, but across the nation. So that's just one little piece. And I'll let you read the rest of that update. Yourself, feel free to contact me if you have any questions about any of the specifics that are in that document. A couple of other very quickly, just wanted to update you on what's going on in Danville Athletics. Our ads have really been doing an amazing job. I'm sure you probably know, but I'm going to say it anyway, our boys and girls basketball teams represented themselves very well in the All-A tournament this past week. Fans and community, it was great support. There were a lot of Danville community members, parents and family there. Our boys have been ranked as high as 15th in the state in all classes, which is amazing. Our cheerleaders, if you didn't realize, brought home a 3rd place trophy from their competition in the All-A tournament. Wrestling hosted a successful tournament this past Saturday, and they also placed second at Wheatley tournament, Wheatley County. Swim team, they're going to have their senior night tomorrow at Center, and they compete in Louisville this upcoming weekend. Several of our student athletes have recently announced college choices, which is a pretty great thing. And then it won't be long that our spring sports will be kicking off. Several of the practices start around February the 15th. So we've got a lot going on with our student athletes. The last thing in my section, and I know we've got a long agenda, but I do want to mention that this is School Board Appreciation Month. And I want to take a minute to say thank you on behalf of our students, our parents, our community members, all of the staff at Danville Independent Schools for you, our 5 board members, because you are dedicating your time and your energy, and you are just literally giving yourself as a servant to our community to help move our school district forward. And I and staff and parents and students cannot thank you enough for what you do provide for our school district and the countless hours you spend reviewing materials and prepping for board meetings to make what are sometimes very hard decisions, but are always decisions in the best interest of our students. So on behalf of parents, community, and teachers, and our staff, I want you to know that you have a present beside your chair. If one person could actually pull it out and show the group, that would be great, so that the crowd can see. Each board member received the same thing. It's a cutting board, and of course in the center it has the Danville anchor. So.
All right, thank you. Thank you. It's always nice to be recognized and appreciated, and it's the same for me to you all.
Where's the key to Burt's Bakery?
Here.
Donuts tomorrow.
Donuts tomorrow. But anyway, so thank you. Thanks to all. Our next item on the agenda is special. We are going to do student recognition, and we have a lot. I think all the school is here. So I think we're going to start with the middle school. Dr. Murray, Glenn, would you be the board member?
Actually, can I be the board member?
Oh, you can be the board member. You got kids.
I got one being recognized.
Well, yeah, that works.
So we also have Mr. Carney that's going to help.
Mr. Carney,
here
please.
in a minute.
Oh, gosh, yes.
But we'll go through the, first we had, I'm Dr. Murray, I'm a new faith principal, and I'm very proud to be in that position and to be with your students. The first group of students we're going to recognize is our Region Honors Band, and those students are Lamont Donahue, Ari Mitchell, Henry Hurley, and then our last one is Adeline Kelly.
Go back.
Next, I'll turn things over to Mr. Carney with the academic team.
As you said, I'm Mr. Carney. I'm representing our Beta academic team. The academic team is like 3 components. It involves testing, future problem solving, and quick recall. I spend most of my time with quick recall and testing. Future problem solving is ran by Ms. Henderson, and she's busy right now. Actually, we're doing our region tonight, so she's actually over there doing composition, FPS, and volleyball all at the same time with Beta. So I left to come over here to keep this going. So I know our FPS team didn't advance past, but they did get 4th place. And I don't know if they were brought here tonight or not. If yes, are you here for this as well? Okay, I wasn't sure. I want to make sure before we had these certificates. So what I have is for the quick recall portion, and all of our testers actually happen to be part of the quick recall portion. So quick recall, I'll tell you what, how it's just all come down here, and then I'll call your names off. It'll be easier that way.
All right. Look at that.
So before I call the names and hand these, and I'll let them slip out because I'm sure they all want to get home and start studying for region we have this Saturday. So, I will say that, got to look for a picture, sorry. So I just want to let you know that this team has worked really, really hard. As you know, we're a smaller district, and they continued our tradition of winning district. I've kind of lost count, but I know we're getting close to 20 years that we've been the district champion, and they worked super hard to make that happen. Most all of them are advancing, all of the quick recall teams advancing to region, and most of them are also taking tests at region. So, you know, we're hoping to continue that same tradition with region. So we have a really, really good team this year. Very excited about it. Some of these people, that technology has changed. Mr. Smiley said when I first started coaching 25 years ago, they didn't have all this technology they have now. But now, like, we can actually see where we rank in the state on our tests. And I actually have some of these kids that are on the team that are already ranked top 10. One of them is ranked '1 in the state already from district. Now we just got to hope we hold that. So, but with no further ado, I have Hank Helmers. And Kira, I don't see. Ramona. Evan. Sanders, I guess I should say last names. I'm sorry, I'm so familiar with them. Sophie Wilson. Elena Griffiths. Grace Haynes, Sam Finke, Paul McClure, yeah. Isaiah Boards, Kendall Williams, Henry Pennington, Ben Tibbles, Jackson Irwin, Carson Wastel. Hopefully everyone's holding a certificate. Okay, and again we have Mr. Gover who's taking the picture. His son's actually competing in composition right now over at the school, and he's advancing on as well too.
Okay, so hold 1 second. We want to shift over because parents want pictures. So everybody slide down. So start about right there. And then if you can kind of like angle a little bit so you can squeeze in, There you go. Scoot, scoot, turn that way, scoot, turn, scoot, turn, scoot, turn, scoot, turn, scoot, turn. Here we go. There we go. There you go. All right, now we're good. Hold on, parents still have phones up, don't move. All right, parents are finished. Thank you, congratulations. Hey, how you doing? Good.
All right, so next up, something that Bay Middle School has done this whole year is do Students of the Month. So we have a list of Students of the Month that have not been recognized. So we're going to go through those as quickly as we can. Zachary Sims. Desiree Tandy. Hank Helmers. I had already leave. Ella McAllister. Ramona Pierce. Lamont Donahue. Sammy Bottom. Sage Dawson. Caden Thrasher. Elijah Taylor. Presley Reyna. Jackson Irwin. John Swain.
Thank you.
Grace Haynes. Jacob Earl. Alexia Blake. Hensley Arnold. Sam Finke. Carmine Nyes. Jazzy Donahue. Emily Bowman.
We'll get this figured out by the end.
Caleb Penix. Tommy Sleeper. Jackson King.
Scoot down.
Who else do we have in here? I didn't have more right about that. See you? Is that it? Okay.
Let's give these students a round of applause. We'd like to call up Jane Dewey and Ernest Dunn from the high school.
Mr. Murray. Handed him the wrong one.
Mr. Murray's right there.
We are happy to be here tonight to recognize excellence in student work from Danville High School. I'm Jane Dewey. I'm the Director of Arts Education, and with me is Assistant Principal Dunn. We're standing in also for Principal Haley Ralston tonight. And she asked us to mention that it's tradition for Danville High School to recognize excellence in student work in the arts, athletics, and academics each time we recognize student work. So we would like to start with the arts. And for excellence in instrumental music, for earning spots in the audition-based Kentucky Music Educators Regional Honors Band, we would like to recognize James Perry and Peyton Young. For excellence in visual art, for curating and creating her own solo senior art show, we recognize Skylar Phillips. And then we have 3 students who back in November earned superior ratings at the International Thespian Society for their performances in individual events. And these are in monologues and in scenes. And we would like to recognize for their superior ratings in theater, Kyle Dean, Megan Goosey, and Eleanor Tubb. And actually, our thespian honorees have a letter from the International Thespian Society, which is an honor society for theater students, congratulating them on their accomplishments. And we congratulate all of them, all of our students here tonight.
Look straight ahead.
Okay, I'm going to recognize some students that have excelled athletically at Danville High School.
Congratulations.
Sorry. I want to recognize Ms. Ivy Turner. She has surpassed a 2,000 point and continues to add to that total for her career. And we also want to congratulate Mr. Zachary Thornton for being selected, playing the best of the Bluegrass Bowl game against the rest of the Louisville area, and also for Zachary committing to continue his athletic career at Kentucky Wesleyan. I'm also going to recognize our students for excelling in academics as well. These students have been selected as finalists for the Governor's Scholars Program. We have Taylor Ballard, Seth Bruner, Keaton Burnside, Eleanor Grubb, Virginia Hart, Summer Quinn, Emma Webb, and these students are finalists for the Governor's Scholars Program.
You're still going. Okay. All right. Great.
Just to let you all know, we just had a AAA night. We had arts, academics, and athletics all being recognized this evening. So a great appreciation to all the students. Okay, our next item on the agenda is going to be our nutrition report. And our food service director, April Beach, is here to let us know.
Tell me when you're ready. All right. Federal regulation requires the districts participating in National School Lunch and School Breakfast Program develop and implement both district level and school level wellness policies.
inclusion of all stakeholders during development, annual assessments, making recommendations, and public disclosure of results are major elements necessary for success. The Nutrition and Physical Report Card presented tonight is a summary of the 2017-2018 school nutrition program and the results of the physical activity environment assessment. The report card is posted on our district's website and is also available in print. So I wanted to give you guys in print because it's a little bit easier to stroll through it and sort of let you know what the elements are. So on the interior, you're going to see that you have program history, current facts of the program. You'll find meal counts and financial data for the 2017-2018 school year. And then when you flip to the back, importantly on the back you'll see that there's a summary of our improvement plan, and that's based on the results that you see there in the center of the actual school physical activity environment assessment. So if you said, okay, April, put all that in a nutshell because there's a whole lot of information here, but where are we at? So if you look at the bottom line of the center there of that actual data report there, the little spreadsheet, I guess you'd say, you'll see there the Healthy Schools Program implementation percentage. So that's really where we're at. That's, if I put it all together and I said, where are we at each level in our district with having all health programs implemented and doing everything, you know, if we went all the way to the top and did it all 110%, where would we be? Well, right now, I mean, you know, we're not in worst case scenarios. We have room for improvement, but there's always room for improvement in my mind. So I'm not disappointed with where we fell, but you know, I look forward to taking the program and, you know, beefing it up a little bit, and I think that's where we're at. So ask any questions you might have, because I know that it's like, okay, well, how did you get that result? And you might want to know some details, or maybe you already do know. There's been a lot of talk about wellness policies and for the several years now. So
on your elementary, middle, and high, it has a percentage. Is that fairly good, what we're doing now?
Right, yes, I wasn't disappointed at all. You know, it's still fairly new. 2017 is when it was full implementation of the final rule. And so, you know, for us to be that far advanced now, and we're just getting started, I think we're doing a great job. It was all, you know, I could see that it was always very important to Danville Independent to have those wellness features and to include all elements of what we do with school nutrition, and so we did a really good job, I feel like.
Thank you. Well, April, it's obvious you've done a great job. Just to let you all know some of the statistics, and I'm an old food guy, so this makes a big difference to me. Total lunches served, 263,880. Total breakfast served, 150,315. Our after-school snack service was 9,336. Those are remarkable numbers. But one that really intrigues me, and that we need our folks to know, is that we have a summer program where we feed kids to the age of 18, no questions asked. And this program has continued to grow, which in many ways is sad. I mean, I'm glad we're feeding these kids, but the problem is we're feeding more and more of these kids. So total meals served during the summer, breakfast was 6,934, lunch was 15,443, and then the supper program was 1,439. And this program operated out of 15 different locations. That in itself, to be able to say we're taking care of Danville kids in the summer, is something we all need to be proud of. And I have to say to you and your food service folks, excellent job, and deserves a round of applause.
I'm really looking forward to it. This will be my first summer feeding program here at Danville, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm a big advocate for the program, and you know, everything that you see here, these numbers, you know, all that, the recognition has to go to Taylor and everything that she did under her leadership for the 2017-18 school year. But we're still there, and we're just, you know, we're growing. You know, we're just going to keep taking it to as many levels as we can take it to. So.
Are there any other questions or comments?
No.
April, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Keep doing the work up.
Keep the great work up.
Thank you.
Okay, we need to have our previous minutes approved.
Personnel notification.
Oh, I'm sorry, personnel. Ms. Dr. McDonald.
Yeah, and so that's just personnel notifications, so it's just there for you to see.
All right. And does anybody have any comments on the personnel? Okay.
No.
All right. And then we need to get previous meetings, minutes approved, please.
I make a motion for the approval of the December 3rd of 2018 and the December 10th of 2018 meeting minutes as submitted.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. All right, up next, we have the Comprehensive District Improvement Plan. Assistant Superintendent Sherry Satter.
I didn't bring hard copies this time since you got one last week at the work session, and I'm really just here to see if you, in your leisurely reading, had any questions before you approve it.
Sherry, the only thing I worry about, and I know you guys will take care of it, is the immense pressure on our principals to oversee this plan, because it's extensive. And everybody knows how much it means. And as a district, and as a board, we need to follow the guidelines in there and make those part of our goals. Because if this is where you see it, and this is how we're going to make our improvements, then I really believe this board needs to adopt the 7 areas as goals. And so I hope we can.
You mean in the strategic plan?
Yes.
And I would say in some way, shape, or form, they are addressed throughout the goals that are there and the strategies within each goal.
Okay.
If it's not, but I think we were pretty purposeful in making sure the 2 were,
Right.
because it just didn't make sense for
Yeah.
one to have one thing and the other to have something different.
Right.
So.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comments?
Mm-mm.
So we need to.
I make a motion for the approval of the 2018-2019 Comprehensive District Improvement Plan as submitted.
Second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you for all the work.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Okay, now we're going to start talking about possible things that we're looking at in policy changes. And I hope we can keep this kind of brief, but please, I'm going to let Mr. Smiley run with this. He was the one that authored these, and it's something that we'll be taking a look at throughout the rest of the school year.
All the papers are being passed down. I'm just going to talk about the first 2 pages, the entire back of the policy. You all have had for quite some time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this briefly, and then I'm going to ask you all to approve the procedure, the policy and procedure. And bear with me, it's something that we all need to discuss. I'm going to go through it, then we'll have discussion, then I'll ask for a motion. If you'd like, I'd make a motion myself. Okay. There will be 3 committees, 1 for each policy. Each committee will work independently with 5 members. The author of the policies is the only member that will participate on each committee, so I'll be on every committee. The 3 policies are board member visits to schools, 2nd, board members' working relationship with the superintendent, and board members' involvement in personnel. As I mentioned in the last meeting, this is a positive move forward. What we're doing is we're looking at the policies that we have. We're going to make sure that we're up to snuff with the policies that KSBA has put out. Okay, committee members, I have it listed there for you all. For example, to visit schools, obviously we're going to have 2 principals, a central office administrator, a board member who would like to volunteer, and myself. Relationship with the superintendent, obviously we're going to have the superintendent on that committee because people are going to be interacting with her. The member of the central office administrative team, 1 principal, one board member who would like to volunteer, and then myself. The last one is board members' involvement in personnel. Again, a principal, support staff, supervisor, selected by the support staff, central office staff, actually we're going to have two, a board member volunteer, and then I will be there. Now I'm going to run through the selection process and timelines. Friday, February 1st, Teresa Osborne, who takes care of us all. If we didn't have her, things would be in trouble. She's going to send out a copy of this memorandum, proposed policies, to the superintendent. All board members already have one. All central office administrators, all principals, and all support staff supervisors. By February 8th, each group, everybody will know their group, what they're in. They're going to have a phone call, an email contact, or a meeting selecting representatives from the respective groups for the positions in the committees. The master list of committee members, once decided, will be sent to Teresa Osborne, where she will take all the different components and put them together. And then that will be the committee, okay? And that, we hope to have that done by February 15th, because we don't need to have a meeting to that. We can do that on emails quickly. The first meeting agenda, we will do three things. And by the way, when you schedule those meetings, unfortunately I can't be in two places at one time. So I'm going to try, if you can, I hope that they don't come up on the same days, because I want to do my part. First meeting agenda for committees: review the policy, process, and timelines. Please note that the original policy has changed to more committee members. B, we're going to discuss the values of the specific policies. And finally, select a facilitator from the group to lead. If people are not comfortable doing that, I will facilitate all the meetings. And it's probably good, because that way the people that are in the schoolhouses will give good input. But I would, someone would like to facilitate the committee meeting, you would be more than welcome to do that. Okay, one more page. Date, time, and location. Excuse me. Date, time, and location will be permitted to observe. And I have empty lines there. I'm asking for the board for some advice on that, because I'm not sure who should come to these meetings. Should the meetings just be the committee? Should we open it up to who? Give some thought to that, because we're going to need to make a decision who could, if somebody would like to come and observe the committee meeting, but not participate. Give some thought to that. We don't have to make that decision now, but we do need to. It could be closed, and everybody would see the policy later, or it could be open for faculty members, for all employees, or even parents of the community. I'm open to advisement on that. Okay. We need to bring a calendar for each committee meeting. We'll determine the next meeting. Be sure to read and prepare for each meeting. The policy steps in development. Refer to definitions. If you go to the back page, there's a very pretty, colorful chart put out by KSBA. And if you look at those pretty colors, they are very powerful colors, because you have to, KSBA has put out this system to develop curriculum, and that's what we're going to follow. Okay? Now you all have played dominoes, right? The real dominoes, and then sometimes you play the game where you just line them up in a row. And if just one domino, isn't sitting right, what happens? It all stops, and everything gets confused. So we need to follow this plan the KSBA has set forth, and I don't think we'll have any trouble doing that. Okay, the colors chart, I'm going to walk through them with you. Blue is research. The research has already been done by me. I took the research from KSBA meeting that we went to in Louisville. The updated, latest manual from the KSBA on these subjects. Plus, all of us attended many sessions where people shared opinions on everything about the schoolhouse. So the research is already done, the information is there. The red, we go to discussion. It's completed in the board meeting. We already did that. On Monday, January 28th, the board approved moving forward with these policies. The green circle, drafting. Each committee, when ready, will request Teresa Osborne to request similar policies from KSBA. I will research our own policies and have them available for the committee. Okay? Next, the black circle, reading. When we receive the KSBA policies, the Danville policies, and proposed policy, I think that's a lot, but we'll have this in hand, and then what we do is we read through the policy, and we see, does it match with KSBA, or does it match with Danville? The committee has the leverage to change what's in this proposed policy to what's best, okay? The data in the policy, reasons and references. KSBA similar policy, and as I said, Danville School's current policy. When completed, going through all this, the first draft comes back to the board. Okay? Now the board can approve it at that time, or if they see anything that's a little shaky or something they want some more work done, they can send it back to the committee and say, we'd like you to do this over and take another look at this specific part. Okay? And that's good. That's the American system working. Checks and balances. If it's approved, it's sent back for revisions. It's returned to the school board for the second and final adoption. Committee work is completed at that time. The committee's done, and the purple circle comes up where it's disseminated. We get the new policy into the hands of the people that it's going to affect. Okay, the board policy could go on the district website, policy manual, appropriate personnel, students, parents, community members. Once the policy's decided, everybody should see it. Okay. Blue circle, implementation. The administration develops regulations or policy into action. In other words, they're going to decide how we're going to implement the policy to put it into action. Orange circle, are you tired of hearing about circles yet? But that's the way they do it. Monitor and revise. Once it's in, the policy is into effect, school boards to have the policy on every agenda to place policy manuals on a 3 to 5 year revision. We got tons of policies. This policy, as an example, would not need to be looked at for maybe 3 to 5 years, unless something really jumps off the page to a board member where you think, hey, we need to look at that policy. Something's not right there. And then we would go ahead and do that. We have that authority as a board to modify any policy that comes to us for approval. Okay? The final step is we submit it to the KSBA, Kentucky School Board Association. And Steve tells me that they do a good job. They're going to look at everything we did, and we'll do our best, but they're going to look at it and advise us, well, you're a little off here, or you're doing good here, and we may have to go back and call the committee. But I'll make a positive announcement. I think our committees will be really good, and I don't think it's going to happen. I think that they will go ahead with what we had. But they have a wider perspective. They have the whole state, and they have similar policies everywhere. So their advisement is good for us, because we don't want to be too off target of what's happening within the state of Kentucky. That is my presentation, and if you all would make a motion, somebody, and second, and vote on if you would like to follow this procedure. Thank you.
So I just want to clarify, you're wanting the board to approve the procedure development. We're not actually approving policies.
No, just the procedure so we can all get started.
And then with some close consultation with our superintendent,
Yes.
to set up this organizational means, I think is gonna be vital, because it's gonna involve a lot of folks, which I know you will do. And I have to commend Mr. Smiley for the work he's put on this. Things do matter. I mean, and KSBA helps districts with new policies, because they view the law, they check all that out, and then they send us revisions. But one thing that they don't do is they don't go through our present policies, and some of them could be 20 years old. So, as I had said at the last meeting, I wanted to get a policy committee together, and this will definitely fill that committee. So, does anybody want to make a motion?
I have a question.
Okay, cool.
In doing this, will we work with our board attorney, making sure that everything is all?
KSBA will kind of, yeah, also.
It'll go to Vince first, actually.
Okay, that's what I want to know, make sure that we have a good clearinghouse going on here.
And I think all of these, I mean, I talked to a previous board member was on our board years ago, and she also thinks some of these are in there in some way, but I am totally on board with going and revisiting these things and looking at them again. I mean, everything needs to be updated, and I think a lot of these things are good for everyone to know, you know, the board member's role, and, you know, I think people still, as much as I've been on it a couple of years now, people get confused about what our roles and responsibilities are, and what site-based roles and responsibilities are, what, you know, they come to me to talk about things, and I said, I can't help you, that's not my job. And so it's important, you know, for both sides to know what your job is and what things are. So having these policies and looking at them, I encourage it, I'm excited about it. So now, having never really done one of these like this, I don't know whether the procedure, but it sounds very organized and.
Well, Lori, you'll just have to volunteer to be on that board.
Oh, well, I'm sure I'll be on one of them. But I'll make a motion to approve the procedures as submitted tonight, the policy and procedure development.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Smiley, very good.
So
Very
to
good work.
volunteer for these things, do we submit that to Teresa? Or how would you?
And you can just email me.
Okay.
Please email
Okay.
me.
And then also to clarify, any committee meetings that the board would have, they are definitely open to the public, all public. So.
But these wouldn't be, there's 2 board members on each one, so they're not official meetings, right?
No,
So, okay,
no.
yeah, because we can't have more than 2 board members. Yeah.
But that we're still fine. I mean, we
Yeah.
can invite anybody that
Right.
would like to attend. I think it's perfectly fine in transparency with the board and the school district, but yes, they would be open.
Steve, could I respectfully request that you make a motion to that, and then I'll put it right in the policy about the meetings will be open to however you want to say it. Make it official, please.
We really don't have to. It's generally just policy that we do have. So I mean, that committee, I mean, I'm happy to do it if you want me to.
Oh, if you would, I just think it's good to have exactly indicated when policy goes out that everybody is welcome to come. And it's been approved and supported by all board members.
Okay. I'm happy to make the motion that all the committee meetings will be open to the public. Do we have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Mr. Smiley, that was really well done. Before we leave that section, if you all would all look at sample policy 936, and hopefully you guys have already read this. I would like to consider this the first reading on this policy. It does pertain to student-related trips, athletics, field trips, and so forth. It's pretty extensive, and we can bring up more discussion on this in our work session February the 12th, but I wanted to get this through the first reading. It's something we need to do, and it's going to help everybody out as far as
4 pages.
knowing what they're supposed to be doing. So, and we don't need to make a motion on that. I just want to make sure that everybody realizes this would be the first reading. Okay, let's move on to reports. Matt? And where's Christie? Ah, geez, you want to come up? We're talking about change orders for the Hogs at Primary project.
Back and sit, I'm just gonna be brief. I'm still trying to read all the rules and agreements. I talked to you last week a little bit about some of the change orders that I'd already given approval for so that the project could go forward, and that there would be a couple of more coming for the meeting this week. You have a copy of that in front of you? So I can't read that small. No, your summary is what I was talking about. You make it bigger there. So the first one, we, gosh, this one was from way back at the beginning of the project. We decided, huh? Yeah, you can. Oh, that would be very, very good. I just wanted to make it, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the ones that already proved and why. And one of them being, I talked to you last week a little bit about the manhole. It's really a square brick hand laid. Square manhole. Yeah, it's just on the perimeter of Hogshead, and it's probably what has caused so much misery for Kenny Grubbs and some of the other maintenance guys that are continuously having to clean the grease trap and suction stuff out. So it's a no-brainer that we need to put a manhole in. We can't.
It was an
continue
existing
with that.
manhole that was, when the intent was to, when we tied in the grease trap, to use that existing manhole, but when they excavated for the new grease trap and located that manhole, or were able to see more of it, they noticed it was all hand laid with brick, and they tested it and it failed the test. So it was recommended that we put a brand new new structure in there. Okay.
So the existing one is an antique. Or if you're interested.
Just whatever.
My grandfather might have put it in, you never know.
If you noticed, all the walls are up on the addition by Wayland, and the roof is going up over the addition on the far side, the preschool addition. And inside, it's just like a hive of thieves going on, so.
We've mainly gone through, and they've broken out each classroom to be the final size and put the walls in. So if you go in and you can see where the walls have been demoed, you can see the new classroom spaces for each of the two sides of the existing building.
Are they able to work in this extreme cold we're supposed to have this week every year?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have to prep for it. Like if they were gonna lay block or anything like that, they have to put a tent over it and heat it,
Okay.
because you need to stay below a certain temperature, above a certain temperature to do that.
And inside, they've got propane heat going, but they're getting that HVAC.
Okay. The next big thing you'll notice that they're making a difference is they're going to start taking out the old windows and tile and start putting new windows in. So it'll make a big difference in the coming
Yeah, you'll
weeks
start,
and months.
you'll start to be able to recognize some big changes going on.
So I can run through we have 5 items on this month's change order. You need to run through each one at a time, and then questions, or just go through all of them?
Let's just go through it, yeah.
The first one is, during the design of the project, we had some graphics in the tile work that we were going to do with the, in each classroom, we're going to put like a diamond or a circle or something to say, like the entrance of the door. But the way we did our tile layouts, it seemed a little redundant about, wayfinding to have that plus the tile, the changes in color of the tile, so we elected to take that out. So the first one is just a credit to remove that material and labor of doing that work, because it was just a little redundant. So, 22 is where we renovated the existing restrooms. The existing restrooms had glazed block walls, which are not as structurally sound as a block, as the CMU block wall. So we elected to remove that glazed block and put in new, more structurally sound CMU in about 4 or 5 places, mainly where the existing restrooms were before. So they elected they took all that down at the window wall and put new block in. And because a lot of those rooms that were restrooms are now classrooms. Each one of them now is a classroom. Plus the change in material wouldn't really work that well anyway. 24 is the manhole that Christy was talking about. Kind of explain that in a little bit. 25 is part of the storm structure system. It was determined by the civil engineer as well, in conversation with the site contractor, that one of the storm structures needed an extra little piece on it to kind of help with the overall storm drainage, and it was over by the new addition on the way one side. So this was adding a piece of structure and getting it to the site to better use that. And then 26 is back by the gym where the new preschool is getting attached to the building. There was a gutter and downspout that a new wall was going to go past. That's just the removal of that gutter and blocking. So.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? Well, Matt, as always, we thank you for your conscientious work, and Augie's looking great. Drove out there today, and wow.
Yeah, they're busy out there. There's always something going on. So it's a challenging project because of an existing building that's been tinkered with over the years. So we're working through it, but it's going to be really nice when it's all done.
So in the process of you going through that, you have to bring a lot of things up to code.
That's correct.
Up to current code.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Right, I'm saying.
Yes.
So we need a motion on this.
I make the motion for the approval of change order 4 that proposes the changes to the Marilla design and construction contract that results in the increase of the amount of $15,176 to the Mary G. Hogsett Primary School addition and renovation project.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Dean, I think, are you ready for us?
No national anthem.
We're going to go through the financials, and just on a sidebar, Mr. Dean is one of the most dedicated finance officers